Hello, everyone, and welcome back to the channel. My name is Molly and today I am joined by my friend Jackie Minton.
Hello.
And Stephen is not going to be with us today. He's a very busy man at the end of the year.
Everyone is.
Everyone is. I know. I am as well. I'm also, I think you know this. Our viewers know this, but I'm 6.5 months pregnant.
Yes,
So
I did. I did know that.
everything is starting to slow down a little bit for me in terms of what I'm able to do, which is
Naturally.
hard,
Yeah.
because it is such a naturally busy time of year, and
Mhm.
so I normally am able to kind of, push myself and work until 10 or 11 PM, but these days I am done by, 5 PM
Good.
because I have to be in bed by 10.
Embrace the French.
Yes, yes, for sure. Thankfully, my French husband is a good cook, and he makes
Mm,
me dinner every single night, which is great, and he has been kind of, holding down the fort,
mm.
at home, which is really, really nice. But anyway, I digress. Jackie, thank you for joining us.
Thanks for having me.
I wanted to have you on because you are a tape writer, which for anyone watching who doesn't know, this YouTube channel is directly connected to a website called The American in Paris, and The American in Paris is full of tips on how to move to France from the United States. And we talk about how to get specific visas. We talk about how to get your animals over to France if you have animals, but then we also talk a little bit more just about our own personal experiences living in France for people who maybe dream of doing it and want to know what it is really like living over there. So I guess I'd like to start there, Jackie, just how you got involved with tape, because I believe, correct me if I'm wrong, you came on before I was kind of like the new head honcho of the site.
I think it was maybe right after,
Okay.
because I had been reading for years at that point. Um, I first got connected with Stephen, through an answered prayer.
Which
Um
Jackie told me this story before we hopped on the call. It's kind of crazy. If you feel comfortable sharing it,
Is it
you
yeah,
go
I'll
ahead. Yeah.
I why not? I'm just like I'm filter off, like, just I've had, like, a whirlwind past 2 weeks too, connected with my experience in France, so I'm just gonna, we're just gonna be open, but I got connected or stumbled upon tape, the first time through I had been looking for writing work, and I had just graduated from college, and I received the word writerly in prayer while I was praying about not having work.
Which is
And at the time, Stephen's website facing towards clients that would hire him was writerly.com.
mhm.
Um, and so, anyways, I Googled this word, find his website, and reach out on the bottom. He had like a contact me form. And so we connected, asked him if he had any advice for someone that was starting out looking for this kind of work. And he generously offered to hop on a Zoom call with me. Um, and at the time, we kind of lost touch for, I want to say like 6 months,
Okay.
but he was coming back. At the time, I was living in Nashville, but over that 6 months, I had moved back to Texas, but I didn't tell him about that. And he reached out in December at the end of that year because he was coming back to Texas or back to the States and happened to be passing by way of Dallas.
Okay.
So he reached out to me saying, "Hey, I'm gonna be in Nashville in like a month." Um, and I was like, "Hey, I'm not in Nashville anymore, but I'm in Dallas."
Yeah.
And so we got coffee for the first time and hit it off. And sure enough, um, gosh, at that time, I think 29 Days to France had just was in the process of being written at this point. So when the book was done, he was like, "Hey, I'm going to send you a copy. Read it. Let me know what you think." And
Because when
so,
you mentioned to me when you just shared this story with me that you had kind of had France in your mind as well, which reaching out to him, you didn't even know that he was involved in France in
No.
any way, which
Yeah.
is just so crazy, which is so crazy.
It gets crazier.
Oh my gosh, just keep going. I don't know the rest of the story, so I'm, like, so curious to know.
Like, I forget until I say it out loud, and I'm like,
Yeah,
"That's whack."
yeah.
But, kindly he sent me a book. I read it, um, and I think on, like, day 3 of the 29 days, I was like I felt like a fire was, like, lit inside of me because at this
Mm,
point, I had never been to France before.
okay, okay.
And I had planned to go in 2020. The door got closed when
Mhm.
2020 happened. And so I still had this hunger. At this point, I'd been studying French for 3 years because I think it was 2020. It was the end of 2022,
Okay.
beginning of 23, if I'm remembering right. Or maybe it was 20, gosh,
With COVID, I get so
2. I
confused.
know.
Like,
It's
there's
such a
this
blur.
weird time warp. Yeah.
Such a blur. But anyways, it's the beginning of a new year. I'm reading, this book, and then, like, day 3, I'm like, "I just can't wait to go to France anymore." Like, I need
Mm,
to I feel like one of the chapters is on just, like, find a way, like,
mhm.
um, and so I reached back out to the religious community that I was going to go on a mission trip with the
Okay.
first time when that trip got canceled, and I was like, "Hey, you guys doing the same thing that I was going to do in 2020?" And they were like, "No."
Mm,
But we're looking for a group of Americans to prepare for World Youth Day in Portugal,
okay.
and this team of people will spend the whole summer in France for a couple months with us, um, if
Wow.
that's something you're open to doing. And I was
Yeah.
like, yes."
Yeah.
Let me look at my calendar. I'm free.
Oh
Yes.
my gosh.
So I put work on pause, left the country for 3 months, and fell in love with France. And
And that was your
while I
first time you'd ever gone, right?
and that was my first time.
Okay, okay. Where were
Um,
you?
I was traveling around quite a bit, but the religious community's main house is an hour south of Paris,
Okay,
in Nouan-le-Fusilier is
okay.
the name of the
Okay.
town. Kind of like Parisian hunting land, like really
Okay, I
woodsy,
see. Mhm.
um, but really peaceful. And then we traveled around a bunch from there. And so after, gosh, I want to make sure I'm not missing anything. And then, so it was crazy because before I went with them to Paris, I went by way of Israel because they also have a house there,
Okay.
the religious community. And so I was spending 2 weeks with them there before I went to France, and, I text Steven and I'm like, "Hey, are you still in Paris? Because I'm gonna or, like, in France," because I think at this point he had moved during COVID
Mhm.
potentially, but I had, I knew that the clock was, like, running out. I knew that he was moving soon, but I
Okay.
didn't know exactly when, and so I reached out and I was like, "Hey, I'm gonna be in Israel for the next week, not a lot of signal, but, like, after that, I'm gonna be in France for a couple months, would love if potentially we could cross paths." And he was like, "I'm gonna be in Israel next week."
I thought you were gonna say that because I knew he had been there. That's so random.
And so we happened to be in Jerusalem one of the same nights and got
Wow.
dinner.
That's so crazy. Oh my gosh. Like, what are the
Um,
odds?
yeah. And then back when I made it back to France, or when we were both back in France, we made a trip together to go to Paray-le-Monial, which is a little French town that has a really big history, with the image of the Sacred Heart of Jesus. And that devotion is really important to me. So getting to go there and not be alone
Yeah.
also,
Yeah.
and to be with someone that spoke a lot better French than me was a huge comfort.
Yeah.
Um, and yeah, just I think I've seen Stephen 4 times in person, twice in Dallas, in Jerusalem, and then maybe a couple times in France, maybe twice in France, but
That's so I mean,
but
knowing him, I would expect nothing less.
yes.
I love that. That's such a great story.
Yeah.
I love asking people how they got to France, like why France, how they ended up
Yeah.
there. And I feel like most of the time people have such, I mean, your story is definitely one of a kind, but
But
maybe
they
like
all are, yeah.
the meandering path that you
Mhm.
take to get over there, because again, my story wasn't maybe as exciting as yours, but I had no interest in France as a young
Me
person
either.
at
None.
all.
Absolutely 0. Yeah.
Yeah. I did Spanish for my second language in school.
Ditto.
I did end up doing French for one very sad semester at uni where I think I barely scraped by. It was like French 101, and I only did it because I wanted to switch it up. I didn't want to study Spanish anymore.
Mhm.
And then I never ever planned on doing study abroad ever. My family is not a family of travelers, they're
Mm.
just before going on my semester abroad to France, which I eventually did. I had never left the country before, had never even been to Canada or Mexico, had no passport. It was all very random, and the only reason why I ended up doing a semester abroad was because a girlfriend of mine did hers, and she had to go pick up some paperwork at the study abroad office one day, and I was with her, and she was like, "Oh, I just got to go get this like transcript I've been waiting on. Like, do you mind coming with me?" And I'm like, "Yeah,
Mhm.
sure." Like, it's on the way. Like, we were planning on going to get dinner or lunch after or something like that. And we're in the study abroad office, and she goes in to talk to an advisor, and I'm just sitting there in the waiting room waiting for her. And this advisor comes out and starts like talking to me and asking if I was interested in study abroad. I'm like, "Oh, no, no, I'm just here waiting for a friend." And
Mm.
he managed to talk me into like having a meeting
Those
with him.
advisors are so sneaky.
I know. I'm like, they get permission for everyone who signs up. Like, they must. Like,
Yeah.
I'm like, why are you like pushing this so much?
Yeah.
But he sat down, managed to like look at my transcript to see like what would work as a semester abroad. I like had just like managed to like allow him to talk me into it
Yeah.
until that point. And at the time, I have my undergraduate degree in fashion merchandising, and so the
Oh,
obvious
cool.
choice for study abroad was
Naturally.
Paris or
Yeah.
Milan.
Yeah.
And at the time, I don't even think I had ever even heard of Milan, like, as a place, like, of the 2 places, I was like, "Well, I've heard of Paris," and it went from me being, like, kind of getting a little bit curious about it. Oh, maybe I could do, like, the J semester, so, like, the 6-week-long
Mm.
month of January is what they
Mhm.
called that, the J semester,
Okay.
and looking more into it, they were basically like, "You could do that, but, like, it really wouldn't make sense for your studies. Like, what would make the most sense would you be for you to do a semester?" And I just said yes, like, without really thinking about it. This was in November, and the semester was starting in January,
Holy
and
smokes.
yeah, I, like, remember leaving the office, and I'm like, "Well, I guess I have to go get a passport." Like,
That is
and
crazy.
ended up loving it, absolutely falling in love, like, that, like,
Yeah.
split-second decision where I felt like I just felt called to say yes,
Yeah.
ended up changing the entire trajectory of
Course of
my
your life.
life,
Yeah.
because that semester abroad is what opened me up to the possibility of eventually moving back there
Mhm.
more long term. And it's like maybe cliche or corny, but looking back on all of that, so like the advisor who managed to convince me to go in the first place, when I did go back as an au pair, like it was very random the way I was able to like go back to France. This girl that I did that semester abroad with, her and I were just chatting one day on Facebook. I wasn't really thinking to myself, I want to go back to France. Like I kind of had that dream in my mind, but it was kind of
Mm.
like this far-fetched thing I didn't think was ever going to
Right.
happen.
Yeah.
And I remember just chatting with her, and she had actually never gone back to the States after our semester. Like she ended up staying, living with this Franco-American family as their au pair.
Mhm.
And so we're just like talking, and I'm like, that's like amazing. I'd love to go back to France one day. Like, what did you do? How did you do it? And she said that she was an au pair. And then at the end of the conversation, she was like, it's so random that we're talking about this, but I'm planning on leaving this position in
Mm.
May. And we were talking around like November, December. And she was like, would it be something that like you'd be interested in doing? And at that point, I'd been babysitting and nannying, like, for all of my young adult life, and so I was like, "Yeah, like, that'd be amazing, that'd be so great." And then we didn't talk for 4 months, like,
Mm,
totally just fell away, and I got caught up in my little life that I was
mhm,
leading, in my hometown.
mhm.
And then in March, she reached out again and was like, "I was really serious about, offering you this job. I've been with this family for 3 years. I would love someone who I actually know to
Oh,
take over for me. Like, I love the kids, everything like that." And it was again this net like split second moment where I was just like, "Yes," without even thinking about it. And I say it's like a cliche, corny thing because I think that I was meant to do all of that to meet my now husband, now,
Yeah.
father of my child who I'm gonna have in a couple of
Right.
months. Like why else,
Yeah,
Why else would I be so called to go to this place that I had no interest in at all
yeah,
when I was younger? It's crazy how life works out, and
that's right.
it's France just, like, calls to people in that way for some reason. I don't know what's up with that, but,
Mm,
um so this is the book that you have been talking about, 29 Days to
yes.
France. So when we're done with this call, I'm going to update the description and put a link to this book, for anyone else who is interested in potentially moving from the United States to France if you too feel called.
It's just got such good questions. It's like a journaling
Yeah,
kind of
it's
it's really
really
reflective, um,
yeah.
and helped me kind of so, like, it there are really practical things, like talking about, like, how to choose a phone plan or that sort of thing, but, like,
Mhm.
the, um the root, like, the base of the book is really like a mirror, like, "Okay, why are you asking yourself this question? How are you gonna" like, "Okay, go and do something about it."
I'm glad
So
you picked up on that
yeah.
aspect of it because that's definitely something that we kept in mind as we were writing it, and you're right, it's definitely more set up, I guess, like a guidebook, like a workbook. Like
Uh-huh.
it's called 29 Days to France, not in the idea that you can move to France in 29 days, but you can prepare yourself to move to
Yeah.
France in 29 days.
Mhm.
And we did want to include those more reflective aspects of it because it is a big thing. It's a really big thing to take your life and move from one country to another. And so it's important to be reflective because we find that the people who are not reflective,
Mm.
because yes, as in my story, I'm like, yeah, I said yes, split second decision and never looked back. But after I made that decision, I was
It's
very
just it.
reflective
Yeah, yeah,
before I went over there. And then once I was there, I continued to be very reflective.
yeah.
And I think sometimes when it doesn't work out, and it doesn't work out for a lot of different reasons, but sometimes it's because people don't take the time to be super reflective about what they're doing, about the big change they're about to
Mm.
embark on.
Yeah, just be
Um,
mentally ready
yeah,
for those moments where it's like, "Okay, this is not as fun or as,
yeah,
like, evident as it was at one point."
yeah, yeah, yeah.
Um, and you
You have
need
to have
to know
that to
why
hold
you're
on
there
to.
because otherwise
Exactly,
you're gonna jump out. Um,
exactly,
Molly,
exactly.
your microphone is touching your zipper.
Okay, sorry, thank you.
No,
This
perfect.
always happens when I wear a collared shirt. Sorry if that ruined my whole story. Um, so you did this mission trip where you spent the summer,
Yes.
and so what from there, how did you get back to France? What did you decide you were gonna do while you were over there? Just kind of walk us through that.
Yeah, so I remember at one point during that summer being like, "What can I do?
Yeah,
How can I stay?"
yeah,
And so when I got back to the US, I was depressed
yeah,
instantly because
yeah.
I loved France
I know
naturally.
this. Yeah.
And I did some traveling, went camping with my family in California, um, was in a friend's wedding in Jersey. And after the wedding in Jersey, I had a friend in New York that I had promised for years I would visit. So it was like, okay, I'm in her neck of the woods. I can just take a quick train over and I'll
Mhm,
be in New York. I'll just make it I'll do the trip in one foul swoop.
mhm,
And while I was um, as I was getting to the wedding, I was getting off the plane. This is another one of those stories
Oh,
that's
boy.
like
I love it.
and um, I remember nothing that day was going as planned,
Mhm.
and I'm a planner,
Yeah,
so this was really upsetting.
yeah.
I was like and so I'm, like, getting uptight, a little angry, and I'm, all alone, so I'm not expressing this outwardly, but to myself, I'm like, "And
Mm.
on top of all of that, how am I gonna get a job that will get me a visa to go back to
Mhm.
France?"
Yeah, yeah. It always goes back to that, yeah.
And, as I'm getting off this plane, I feel something sharp go through the bottom of my shoe,
Mhm.
and I'm like, I'm wearing my most comfortable tennis shoes, like, I'm not wearing boots where, like, a nail could have gotten misplaced, but there's, like, something stabbing my foot right now.
You're like, "What now?"
Yes.
Like
And everyone wants to get off of this plane at the exact same time,
Mhm,
so I can't, like, casually look up at, like, the bottom of my shoe while I'm, like, walking down the center aisle
mhm.
because then people are just gonna run me over, so
Yeah.
I'm, like, hobbling down the middle aisle. And when I get off to, like, the airway, I lift up my foot, and I kid you not, there is an Eiffel Tower pin stuck through my shoe.
Oh, how weird, how weird.
And I was like, "Oh, yeah, France was never my plan anyway. When this like, however this is supposed to work out is gonna work out,
Yeah,
and today's not my plan, but that's okay."
yeah, yeah.
And so it's like, deep breath, and I just remember sitting in the airport, like, holding this pin of the Eiffel Tower. It's like, "What?"
Yeah, like, what does it mean?
It was it and so when I after the wedding, I went to visit my friend, and one of her current roommates at that time was, a French teacher.
Okay.
Um, I think I don't know if it was at a public or private school, but anyways, my friend Ashley that I was visiting was like, "Oh, Jackie just got back from France." And at this point, my French is null.
Okay.
Um,
As it is in the beginning, though.
as it is in the beginning.
Yes.
And so, her friend kind of, like, looks at me and, she's Ashley was like, "Oh, didn't you just like, you spent some time in France as well?" And her friend is like, "Yeah, I did this thing called TAPIF,
Mm,
um, teacher's assistant program in France, and I was in Paris."
okay.
Um, which is really hard to get into Paris, like,
I
she
imagine.
yeah, she had a lot of, qualifiers and, like, I think even, like, a special, because their TAPIF has, like, a normal thing, and then I think she was, like, a Fulbright scholar on top of that,
Oh,
so,
wow,
like
okay. Okay.
that was not my plan.
Okay.
Um, but anyways, so when I got back home from that trip, I Googled, TAPIF, what does it take to do
Mm,
this year? And so you have to be between the age of I looked it up so that I didn't mess this up. Yeah, between the age of 20 and 35,
okay.
check.
Yeah.
American US citizen, check.
Mhm.
Um, like native English speaker, education at least 3 years in a university level,
Okay.
but you don't have to be done with your degree. So it's like at that point I was done, so check.
Okay.
Um, and then this next part.
Oh, boy.
French proficiency at a level B1.
Okay.
Um,
Okay, I didn't know that was required for TAPIF. Okay.
uh-huh, and I was like, "That's not checked for me."
You're like, "Not checked."
Um, and so at that point, it was October. It was, like, the very beginning of October, and the applications were open, they were gonna be open in January, um, and they or maybe they were gonna be open in December, um, and they were gonna close in January
Okay.
at that time, and so I was like, "Okay, October, November, December." I'm, like, looking up how do I prove that I have B1, um, fluency?
Yeah.
Um, before I figure out how to get that. I'm
Right.
just how do I prove that?
Yeah.
And so I found that the, Alliance Française of Dallas had a B1 French level test,
Okay.
um, the DELF B1 on December 13th.
Okay.
So I'm
Okay.
like so I've never studied at that point, I had never studied French in a classroom.
Which B1, it's a decent level of
Yeah,
French. It
yeah,
truly it
yeah.
really is. It is.
For yeah, it's like being able to communicate simply about simple things, but in French, that's really difficult,
Right.
so
Right. Exactly. There's a lot of verb conjugation to
Yes,
learn to
exactly.
get to B1 that is just anyone watching who has ever tried to learn French, I'm sure you're nodding in agreement because it's going from an English speaker to a French speaker is a difficult jump, I
Yeah,
find. Very
yeah,
difficult.
yeah. So I was working at a coffee shop at that time, and then all of my free time was on YouTube
Mhm.
and in a book, and at that point, Alliance Française had a, like, prep course
Okay.
for the B1, but it was not for, like, B1 entire, it was, like, the first part of B1, you
Okay.
know?
Okay, yeah.
But either way, it gave me a chance every week to be, like, held accountable to studying something specific with a group of people, and then I
Mm,
was doing a ton of studying on my own.
okay.
And so when the test came up in December, I passed.
Which is really very impressive because so I had to prove at one point that I had B2 in order to do my master's degree,
Yeah,
and after living in France for 3 years, I was only at A2, going from,
yeah,
like, knowing nothing to living there,
yeah,
and it took me an entire semester, like, I did, like, an intensive program to get from
yeah,
A2 to B1, s like,
yeah.
an entire semester was at least 4 months. So
Yeah.
that is extremely impressive that on your own, self-taught, that you were able to do that in, like, 2 and a
Yeah,
half months. That's
it
very
was not
impressive.
perfect.
But you
It
got
was
the level you
but I
needed.
yeah, but I passed,
Yeah.
because in the DELF test, you need a 50%
Okay, yeah.
collectively.
Okay.
So, I was not high above
So
50%.
you're like, "All I need to know is
Yeah,
half of it. I just
yeah.
need to know half."
Yes. So with my B1 certificate, I submitted that with the paper that I needed to write and the letters of recommendation that I needed that were
Okay.
written in French from other people that I knew that were French,
Okay.
and got all my paperwork together, submitted it, and then got accepted.
And how
Um,
competitive is it? I know you mentioned Paris is very
it's
competitive, but I guess as a
Right.
whole.
As a whole, you don't need teaching experience.
Okay.
You don't need to have studied teaching. Really, the job of a teacher's assistant is to be a native speaker in the classroom, to give students the opportunity to hear what the language actually sounds like spoken
Mm,
at the
okay.
speed and the intonation and by somebody who's spoken it their whole life.
Okay.
Um, and so and then also teaching comes along with that. But teaching is simple when you're so familiar the with the content of what you're
Right.
teaching.
Mhm.
Um, and so I I ended up, gosh, the with the program, I feel like I've heard, I don't know if this is true or not because I only applied one time and got accepted. So
Okay.
I can't speak from personal experience, but I've heard that it's become more competitive because it's
Okay.
becoming more well known as a program.
Yeah.
Um,
Well, it's like as you were trying to figure out a way to get to France, it's one of the few.
Mhm,
It's difficult to come to France and find a job.
mhm.
So I think it's one of the few for young people
Yeah.
without a lot of work experience, I think it's one of the few straightforward, I'm not gonna say easy ways, but the
No,
more
but it was
straightforward
yeah,
ways of getting
relatively
to France.
straightforward,
Yeah,
for sure. And
yeah,
then once I was accepted, like, for the it's kind of like the visa part of it is, like, fast-tracked,
yeah.
from there because they're like, "Okay, you have a job," and they're familiar with the program.
Mm, mhm.
Um, so it's, like, stressful because 'cause you're like, "My life is in my hands right now,
Yeah, yes.
or in your hands."
Yes.
And I'm, like, making sure I'm filled out all this paperwork right, and that's definitely not clear.
No.
But, um but as far as the program goes, it's not impossible.
Okay.
It's not impossible, and with a if you've written a good paper
Mm,
um, and you show genuine interest and you have a decent um, B1 level fluency, then I think it's I haven't heard of anyone not getting accepted, but
Okay.
I've only know the people that have made it all the way
And
through.
you know they made, like, at least a bit of an effort on their
Right,
application, yeah.
exactly, right.
Right, okay.
Um,
And once you I know, again, you said Paris is very competitive. Do you put on your application where you ideally would like to go, or do they just is it like you're accepted and then they choose for you?
yeah, so you do, with the initial application, they ask for 3 academies that you'd like
Okay,
to end up in.
okay.
So France, gosh, maybe I think France maybe has 20 academies, I could be
Mhm.
way off, but they're, like, big regions.
Mm,
Um,
mhm.
so with the you get a choice of 3 academies, but you can't just choose off of the list of 20. They, like, have them particularly placed so that, like, all of like, you choose from 3 different groups,
Mm,
and
okay.
all of the popular ones are in the same group. So
Okay. I'm assuming it's like Paris,
so you can only
Nice.
choose one.
Okay.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So they know what they're doing. But, out of the top 3, so the 3 that I asked for, um, were Toulouse,
Okay.
um, Marseille,
Mhm.
and, Clermont-Ferrand.
Okay.
And I got put in the Académie de Clermont-Ferrand.
Which anyone watching who is not familiar with French geography, it really is the middle of nowhere.
Yes.
It truly is, like, I don't know of many Americans most Americans have heard of Paris,
Mhm,
Marseille, maybe Toulouse, but
mhm.
Clermont-Ferrand is like it's like the Midwest of France in a
Yeah.
way. Yeah.
And I hadn't even really heard about it. I looked at the map and I was like, "Well, the Paray-le-Monial," where I went with Stephen, I was like,
Mhm,
"is, like, in this area,
mhm.
middle of nowhere."
Yeah.
So I wouldn't mind being, like, in this middle of nowhere kind of
Mhm.
scene, and sure enough, I got put so far away from Clermont-Ferrand,
Which is so
in Le
wild, yeah.
Puy-en-Velay, which is a little town, like, on the very southern border of this academy.
Mhm. Okay.
So, it's like a 2-hour drive to Clermont-Ferrand.
Okay, yes, okay.
Um,
Okay, so for those applying for TAPIF and watching, know that even if you put, like, a hub, you could be placed
Totally.
hours away.
Yes,
Yeah.
yeah. So, I've not everyone that I've talked to has had a positive experience with TAPI for
Okay.
has had challenges, I would say,
Mm,
um, with the town or, like, the place that they were put. Um, the town that I'm in is a town of 20,000, which
okay.
is pretty it's a decent size for being in the middle of nowhere,
Right, mhm,
um, because the town itself is has a lot of touristy things for the
okay,
French people.
okay.
It's a start of the Camino,
Mhm,
the, um, Compostelle. So every summer the town fills up, and then
okay,
there are a few schools, like colleges, in the town too. So in the school year, the students are there,
okay.
um, which kind of evens out the population. And then it's got a really beautiful medieval city center.
Mm, okay.
Um, but I just I fell in love with this town.
Yeah. Are there many English speakers there?
No,
Okay.
which is honestly was awesome
Yeah,
because
yeah.
that just, fast tracked my French.
Oh, I'm sure, and I think that's something to note too for anyone watching who wants to move to France. If you go someplace like Paris or Marseille even, or even Toulouse with all of the universities and things, you're gonna find a lot of English speakers, either straight up expats
Mhm.
or French people willing to speak in English.
Yes.
And while that can be comforting, especially in the beginning, it will impede your progress, and that's why I was able to live there for 2.5 years at,
Mm,
A1 level French because I was living in a suburb of Paris.
mm.
I was tasked with speaking in American English with the children that I was caring for.
Right, and same thing, I'm not allowed to speak French in front of the kids that
Yeah,
I'm teaching.
and outside of that, all of my friends in those beginning years were all expats. And again, I love all of my expat friends. I adore them, but they weren't helping me speak French. So at least if you do go to a place like this, like, and you do decide to do TAPIF, like,
Mhm.
you will have the comfort of speaking in English at your job, which must have
Right.
been nice.
Mhm.
But outside of that, you really had to put in, I imagine, really had to put in the effort to practice your French. And
Yeah.
it's even for me, by the time I met my husband, I was able to communicate, and we've only ever communicated in French, which that fast tracked my progression as
Mhm.
well. And it's only because there was my husband speaks English, but he's much more comfortable in French. And so when
Mhm.
we were together and wanting to communicate, it was only in French. With his family, it was only in French. With
Right.
his friends, it was only in French. And like you say, it just fast tracks everything because you're put in these situations where you're really forced. And
Mhm.
to me, that's the only way to learn a language.
It's
Like,
the best way.
yeah, it's especially if you're someone, I guess, maybe with like my personality who can be a little bit reserved and not so outgoing, especially as I'm learning a new language. Like, I really felt like I had to be in these situations where I had no choice, where I
Mhm.
didn't have the option to fall back on
Right.
English. Um, so again, just anyone who's watching who is thinking about moving to France, and if learning French and speaking French is important to you, then I would encourage you to go to some place that isn't, full of expats, full of people who speak
Mhm.
your native language.
Yeah. Yeah, and it's comforting too at the same time. There are a few even in the small town that I'm in, there
Mm,
are, gosh, 5 or 6 of I think there are 6 or 7 other language assistants in the town
okay,
that are
okay,
doing the same work that I'm doing. I work in primary schools, so elementary
mm,
kids,
nice.
um, but there are also language assistants in the, um, the lycée, so in high
Mhm,
school, and in the college, which is junior high level.
mhm,
Um, so being there are opportunities for me to go and to speak English with them and to seek them
mhm,
out.
mhm,
And honestly, the tappy face that is for the Americans that are looking to do this teacher's assistant program has a million other faces for different countries.
okay,
So the other language assistants that are in my town, 2 are from England, 1 is from Colombia, and then 2 others are from the United States. But last year when I did the same program in the same town, I was the only one from the US.
okay,
Um, so it's still a very international experience, and sharing life with them. But we weren't living together at the end of the
right,
day.
right.
Um,
And does the program help you with housing, or is that something you're
it
totally on your
depends.
own?
It
Okay,
totally depends.
okay,
So, I got put with primary school. They say pretty clearly, if you're in high school level, they'll help you,
okay.
and if you're in elementary, they won't.
That's interesting. I'm like, I
Right,
wonder
so
why.
a lot of French schools on the high school level have housing,
Okay,
um,
okay,
and so for students that are coming there during the week and leave, to go home on the weekend,
okay.
especially in, like, smaller towns where the kids are coming from the countryside,
Mm,
um, and they spend the whole week there, and then they go
okay,
back home.
okay, that's
Um,
interesting.
yeah, it is
It's
interesting,
kind of like a
just so
boarding
different.
school, but during the
It's
week.
yes, yeah,
Yeah.
it's so different um, than the way we do things here in America,
Mm.
naturally. Um, so because of that, a lot of the high schools have a boarding space, um, and so they're able to accommodate the language assistants, in, like, an apartment style kind of living situation,
Okay.
and then, the for the elementary school teachers, they're like, "Well, good luck.
Oh my gosh.
Look
I
at
mean,
Le Bon Coin."
yeah, I mean, if you don't mind sharing, how were you able to find housing? Because that
Yeah,
is it's one of the harder aspects of moving abroad because
yes,
French landlords aren't very trusting. It's I don't
not
even
at
wanna
all.
say Americans, but of foreigners in general, and the way my
Yes.
husband explained it to me, it's they think of it like this: you could just decide not to pay your rent and go back to your country one day. It's not, there's nothing,
Mm,
racist about it or anything
mm,
like that. It's really just the landlord is looking out for themselves. And there's this
mhm,
fear, a bigger fear that if they rent to an American, one day the American will decide, well, I don't want to pay my rent anymore and I'm
mhm.
leaving. And there's no recourse that a French landlord can take on an
Right.
American who goes back to the United States, or the Spanish person who goes back to Spain, or,
Mm. I've never
any.
thought of that.
Yeah,
Yeah.
that's how my husband explained it, which it makes
Mhm.
sense when you think of it that way.
Right. Yeah.
But yeah, so how did you go about finding housing? And did you find it while you were still in the United States, or did you wait until you were there?
Yes and no.
Okay.
So I had reached out when I with um, the priest that I first went to France with the first time when I got my job in Le Puy. I was like, "Hey, I got a job teaching English in France. I'm gonna be in Le Puy-en-Velay." Never
Mhm.
heard of it. He's like, "It's gorgeous, middle of nowhere. You're gonna love it."
Nice,
I
nice.
don't know a soul there was his
Oh,
response.
no.
But enjoy. And then, like, a week later, he called me or he texted me and he's like, "Jackie, I need you to call me." And I knew that he was in France at this time. So by the time I saw the message, it was already pretty late there. And the next day I called him. Um, and he had another crazy story. He happened to cross paths with a family in Le Puy um, that put him up for a night.
Okay.
And he was like, "I know an American that's moving here.
Oh, that's so
Is there
lucky.
any way y'all could put her up while she's looking? Like, could I connect y'all?"
Mhm,
And for me, I was thinking, I have a place to land,
mhm.
when I
Yeah.
get there, and then I can start looking at an apartment while I'm staying with this family.
Mhm.
And they were really gracious and like, "Yeah, sure." So that was like the part that I did before I got there.
Okay.
And then when I got there, when I got to this house, I realized that this family had been renting out rooms in their house for the past 18 years.
Wow, okay.
And they live in the center of town, really walkable. It was like the perfect living situation for somebody with not a lot of money
Yeah.
and not a car to like move and buy furniture to furnish a place.
Right.
Um, and personally, I didn't want to live, with other men like, with men in, like, a
Mm,
shared living space,
mhm.
and so, they're like, if I had more money in my pocket, if I was open to living in, like, a coloc,
Mhm.
uh, with other people of both sexes, then, like, that would have been easier,
Okay.
but with my situation, I was like, um, my hands were kind of tied, but also it was like the situation that I fell in with the family, it was like, I can't I can't beat this. Their house used to be an apartment complex,
Okay. Okay.
um,
So you
back in,
still
like,
had
the
a level
1900s.
of privacy.
A little bit, not a
Okay.
ton.
Okay.
Not a ton, and that's something where it's like, "Okay, I'm ready for more privacy."
Yeah, yeah, that's the caveat, right? Okay.
The caveat, but also the flip side of that, which I'm incredibly grateful for, is one, I have a French family now. Like,
Mhm.
it's so funny, they're the mom and the dad of this family that I am still living with are the same age as my parents.
Oh, I
Um,
love that.
they've just, like, straight up adopted me.
Oh, that must be so
Um,
comforting too.
and then being in a situation they don't speak English, so every
Mm,
day I'm speaking French, and even when I'm too tired to speak,
yeah, you have
I'm
to.
hearing
Yeah,
French,
right.
at a natural pace the in a home, in a
Mhm,
family,
mhm,
that's speaking casually all the time.
mhm,
So,
mhm.
that's been a huge blessing of being forced to grow in the language and in the culture, pretty consistently, so
And I think that's something that people, especially young people, should be open to because, when I was an au pair, I lived in the house with the family as well, and
yeah.
no privacy. The weekends I would wake up to the one-year-olds like wanting to snuggle with me in bed, like, which was adorable. But after 2.5 years of doing that, I was like, I need my own space. But
Yes.
it's a good kind of entry into the country
Mhm.
because finding a place to live is difficult. Like you
Mhm.
say, you're exposed to how real French people live, and
Mhm.
it's this wonderful exposure to real French culture
Yeah,
and what it actually is, not just what we perceive it to be
totally.
as Americans. And you mentioned something that I want to go back to, just for anyone watching who is interested in doing TAPIF. You said
Mhm.
that you didn't have much money. So,
Yes.
what does that look like in
Yeah,
terms of salary from
right.
TAPIF?
So, the salary for TAPIF, like, before the French government touches it, right,
Mhm.
is I think 1,200 or 1,300 is, like, technically what like, not what you're supposed to get, but what the program is sending out towards your bank account, and then before you get it, things just disappear,
Yeah.
and the every like, the monthly,
Yeah, again, this is
they don't
monthly,
even
people. We're
yeah,
just not talking about weekly.
right,
This
yeah,
is
yeah, yeah. This
monthly,
is
yeah.
monthly, yeah, yeah. The monthly, they don't even call it a salary, it's just like a
A
stipend,
stipend, yeah.
um, is, somewhere between 8 and 900
Okay,
is, what I get to see every month based
okay,
off of yeah, the way that the program is compensated.
okay.
To be fair, I'm not working that much.
I was gonna
The
say, do you find that to be reasonable for what it
for
is?
the I at one point I did the math and it's like minimum wage,
Yeah,
like for the hours that I'm putting in,
yeah.
um, because um, when it comes down to it, the program is limited to teachers' assistants can only work for 12 hours a week.
Okay, okay.
But that looks like 12 hours in front of a class, and not all of your classes are, like, lined up perfectly, where
Right,
they're all back to back to back, so it's not like 12 consistent, like, 2 days and then you're done, you know?
right.
Um, my schedule is split up throughout the week, and the person who arranges the schedule has a huge impact on the the happiness
Mm,
of the teacher's assistant and
right.
how sensitive they are to that.
Okay,
And so thankfully the person who's responsible um, for my schedule is really sensible to that.
okay,
Um, and um, and so she has done the best that she can
okay.
to put my schedule in a shape that makes me happy. Um, but at the yeah, um, but with that, I can't like, I would love to, with my extra time, to go and take a job at a coffee shop
Mhm.
or to, um, do more work outside of teaching, but I'm not allowed to with the
I
kind
was
of visa that I have.
gonna I was that was gonna be my follow-up question. So
Yes.
the whole thing really, I would compare it to being an au pair.
Mhm.
Which when you're an au pair, you can, I mean, you didn't hear it from me,
Yeah, you
viewers,
didn't hear
but
it from me.
you can babysit
Right.
outside of that. In the same way that in your home country, like, do you file taxes on your babysitting money? No,
Mhm.
most people do not.
Yeah.
So, but it's more, you have to think of it, I think, with TAPIF, with being an au pair, it's more of a cultural exchange where you're also getting this
Yes.
stipend,
Right.
because that's how it was with I mean, I got paid peanuts when I was an au pair. I got 80 euros a week, but
Mhm.
my housing was taken care of. I was
Mhm.
living in the house with the family, so my groceries were taken care of. They paid for my cell phone bill, they paid for my public transportation, like,
Yeah.
it really was like the stipend, it was like my pocket money
Yeah.
for spending, like, on coffees or going to museums and things like that.
Mhm.
Do you recommend for people who wanna do this to maybe have some money saved up before they
For
go?
sure.
Yeah,
Yeah, 100%.
yeah.
And, the program itself recommends 3,000 in the
Okay.
bank.
That
Uh,
makes sense.
yeah,
That sounds like, yeah.
right. But at the same time, it's like, okay, well, a plane ticket to get
Right.
to and from there is costs, you know, 1,200, 1,500,
Mm,
if
yeah,
you're lucky, so,
yeah.
like
You do have to kind of
So
think about the financial implications of doing something like this,
totally. Yeah.
and if it's worth it to you or not. I mean, I was finishing out being an au pair for 2.5 years. I was definitely in the hole a bit,
Yeah.
but it was worth it to me
Oh,
because I was in France, and I look back on those years when I had literally no money to my name. They're
yeah.
some of the happiest
Mm.
memories and
Yeah.
years
Yep.
I've spent because,
Amen.
to be fair, it is possible to get by in France on very little money. Like, you can still do cultural things. You can still go for a coffee because, it's maybe 1 to 2, maybe now €3 for a coffee, or,
Right.
you know, there's a lot more things, I think, especially compared to the United States, that you can do on a very strict budget.
Mhm.
Um, so that's another thing to keep in mind too. Like, I never felt the only time I was ever really, like, frustrated with my financial situation was when I wanted to go on a trip,
Right, exactly. And
and
I've done quite a bit of traveling, which
yeah,
is like
that's the more expensive
yeah, yeah,
side.
it is.
Yeah,
But it's true to enjoy the place that you are and to experience the cultures. I'd say I feel like I've seen food prices go up, but that's globally, that's
yeah,
not
for
just in
sure,
France.
for sure.
And so, um, and then also with the program, this is something that I just did. I didn't do it my first year, and this with renewing my contract to do a second year in this town.
Mhm.
I um, I was like looking at my finances from the year before. I was like, there's a social um, kind of aid that's available to students and to like a certain demographic in France,
Mhm.
called the CAF.
Yep, that's what
And
I thought you were gonna say, yeah.
yes, and
Mhm.
so as a language assistant, you are allowed to touch that money,
Okay, that's good
which
to know.
so I it just requires a lot of paperwork and
Yeah,
time in an office
yes.
and being willing to wait. And so last year I didn't have the brain space or the patience, and I had enough savings to muster through.
Mhm.
But this year, at the beginning of the year, I just was like, I'm just gonna apply and see how much money I can get from this program. And I was offered 177 a month in
Okay,
addition. So
that's
that's
helpful.
also been it's super helpful.
Yeah, yeah.
Um, so
Okay, and so the last question on TAPIF, and then I kind of want to wrap up the conversation. I want you to share a little bit about your music career.
mm,
But last question about TAPIF, is there a limit on how many years you can do it? You just mentioned that you're
yes.
going into your second year. Is there a limit on that?
Yes, the limit is 3 years,
Okay,
and, I was looking it looks like their applications haven't opened up for this next year,
okay.
but they're, about to, and it looks like they've pushed back the deadline, so it moved from
Okay.
February to March.
Oh, so anyone
So
watching, if this has piqued
you've
your
got time to
interest,
get to be one.
yes, you do. Take it from Jackie's experience, you do have time. Um, okay, that's good to know. And so I guess maybe personal question, do you think I mean, you just maybe went into your second year, but do you think you'll do it for a third year, or are you kind of
I don't.
okay, okay,
I hope that I don't.
okay.
We'll
I
see.
mean, I felt the same way with au pairing. It's such an easy way to get into the country and get
Mhm,
into the culture, but you get to a point for so many different reasons. I mean, I'm about to be a mom, and I'm very excited to be a mom, but taking care of other people's children, teaching other people's children, because you're with the little ones, so it does get to be tiring.
mhm,
The financial constraints get to be difficult at a certain point,
mhm.
and you just I know I'm speaking for myself, but I just got to a point where I was like, at the end of my au pair stint, I was 25 or 26, and so I was just ready to kind of, like, enter the real world in a way. So do you have any ideas of what you might wanna do?
Yes and no.
Okay.
Actually, I drank all this tea, and I need to run to the restroom real quick.
Okay.
Can
Yes.
I
Yes,
can
of
I
course.
be right back?
Yes, of course, of course.
Okay. See you soon.
Of course. As a pregnant person, I understand that completely. Um, so if any one of you who are watching here on the live or watching the replay, Jackie just did an excellent job of explaining exactly what TAPIF is, what you have to do in order to join, some of the restrictions, I guess, in terms of how much you're getting paid, the stipend, that it can be a little bit difficult to find housing. Those are all things to keep in mind. But again, as I just mentioned, if you're a young person, she mentioned between the ages of 20 and 35. For an au pair, it's from 18 to 35. It's a really good into France. It's a good way to determine if you actually like France. It's a good way to determine if you like living abroad. Like being an au pair, TAPIF is a 1-year program. So it really gives you a good amount of time to kind of get your footing, to discover the country, to learn the language. And again, there's a bit of financial restrictions around it, but if you think ahead a little bit, if you're able to save some money to have kind of a savings account to keep you going, I think it's an excellent way, again, especially for young people, to discover France, to learn more about the culture, to learn more about the language. And I was just explaining, Jackie, that I just think that TAPIF, like being an au pair, is such a great way, such a good entrance into France.
Mhm.
Um, and so, yeah, just if you've been looking for, kind of like Jackie, you're looking for any way to get
Yeah.
over to France, any easy way to get over, relatively easy. I think TAPIF is a great option.
Mhm.
TAPIF and au pairing, I recommend that to any young person, really.
Totally.
Um, so yeah, if you don't mind sharing what your next steps are, and then maybe if you
Yeah.
could kind of segue into what you do more on the creative side, which is your music career.
Yes. So the how I spend the rest of my time.
Yes.
Um, for my um, for this next year, so I've got still a couple of months. I'll work until the end of April because the contract with TAPIF runs from September. No, I got there in September. It starts October 1st and it goes through the end of April.
Okay, so it's not even a full year. Okay.
It's yeah. So it's
Okay.
not. It's like a mini. Um, It's like a section of the academic year in
Okay.
France, because the academic year in France starts in September and runs through June or like up to June,
Mhm.
at least through May. Um, so with that, this next year, the next academic year, I'm looking for an opportunity in some way, shape, or form to work in a school, a private school in France.
Okay.
Um, is kind of what I'm picturing, hopefully in Lyon, if you know of any
Oh, I love
that are
that.
looking for an English teacher.
You never know,
Hashtag open to work.
you've had so many crazy experiences, so, like, we're putting it out there, everyone. If you have
Yes.
any opportunities in Lyon, please leave a comment, send us
Yes.
an email.
Yes. So whether it's in teaching English or teaching music, because at the end of the day, music is really my passion.
Mhm.
And I love teaching. I think that I've enjoyed teaching English so much because at the end of the day, teaching music, which is what I was doing before, is like teaching a language. Um,
Right.
and so it shares a lot in common with that.
Yeah.
Um, and so, yeah, looking for work right now, and we'll
Okay.
see where and how and when. But
Oh,
it's
I'll
if I
be
can,
thinking of you, I
yes.
hope so, yes.
If I will say if I can do it sooner, then because I have my visa is good until June,
Okay.
and if I have work lined up 3 months before
Mhm.
that deadline, my visa, then I can apply to have my visa extended,
Okay.
um, and not be forced to go back to the United States, um,
To
to
redo the
to
visa
redo it.
process from the United States,
Yeah.
correct.
Um, so that's something that's in my brain that I'm as the year has been ending, I'm like, okay, It's
Getting
I've
closer
got 3
and
months.
closer, yeah. Oh, I know
Um,
those feelings. I know
yeah.
those feelings so well. Would you ever consider going back to school just to be able to stay? Because you can work
Right.
part-time. You can
Right.
work part-time. That's another I was when you stepped aside, that was one of the things I was mentioning that the like TAPIF au pairing, it's a straightforward way to get to France, and so is being a student. You know, that's
Mhm.
what I recommend to people who are just like, I just need to get over there, like by whatever it takes. Like I just
Yeah.
want to be there. The student visa is another very, very straightforward visa
Mm.
to get, and you can actually work more than 12 hours a week. You can work 20.
Nice.
Yeah.
Hmm.
So maybe if
It's
you're
something
open
it's an option I haven't considered,
if you
but
get to the point where you're just, like, so desperate that you just wanna stay,
Yeah.
I think it's a great, great way,
Mm.
and then you
Yeah.
never know what could come from getting a degree in
Right.
France as well.
Yeah. And the it's true, the schooling in France is so much more affordable.
Oh, it's like,
Um,
compared to the United States, it's like I wasn't someone when I finished my undergrad, like, "Oh, I can't wait to do my master's." I was not
yeah.
that was not me at all, but it was kind of a no-brainer for me
Mhm.
when I saw the difference in price.
Yeah.
So I did end up getting my master's, and then that opens up a lot of doors, getting a degree, a higher education degree. It
Right.
also opens up the visa, the APS visa, which is like a year-long visa where you can look for work. So it just, like, kind of
Mm.
extends the amount of time you can
This is good info.
stay. Yeah.
We might have to do another call, Molly.
Yeah. We'll talk later about all of
Yeah.
that, but I hope you do find something.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. It's one of those things where it's like, this was never my plan.
Mhm.
But it's like, as I learn more of the language, more of the culture, it's like, okay, I am more capable of
Yeah.
finding something,
Yes.
doing the research. So,
Absolutely, absolutely. So, yeah, I mean, I'd love to kind of close out this conversation by you just sharing what you do for music, where people can find you,
yeah.
all of that good stuff.
So apart from being an educator, I love to write and to perform. That's been my bread and butter since I was little,
Mm,
and it still is the heart of what I love to do. So um, I'm in the process of preparing and soon launching a Patreon for my poetry,
I love that.
which will include weekly poems from me and also go to support my music.
Okay,
And my music sits in the kind of folksy singer-songwriter range.
okay.
I call it philosophic folk.
I love it. Okay.
And I've released 2 full-length albums and a couple of EPs, um, and have done some collaborative projects, um, over the past couple years in particular, and so, um, the the next shift for me or the next move is to record this music that I've been writing in France and a little bit in French as well.
I love that. I love
So, um, the last, project that I released is named Sagesse,
that.
which
Okay.
is the French word for wisdom.
Mhm.
And but none of the I had like, originally, I was like, "I'm gonna translate one of my songs to French," and I have since done that, but I didn't before we recorded, I wasn't ready to sing in French
Okay.
in a format that was burned on the internet.
Okay. I understand, I
So
understand.
now that I've lived there for a little bit, it's, like, to the point where when I sing in French, my French friends understand me most of the time, so
I it's isn't it amazing when you get to that point where you're like, I can understand you and you can understand me. Just the feeling of being understood
Yeah,
is something that you don't realize how good that feels
yeah.
until you're put into a situation where you are constantly misunderstood.
Yes.
Just
Yes.
truly, it's one of the best feelings in the world to speak a
Mm,
foreign language
yeah,
and to be actually understood.
yeah, to be on the other side of the
Mhm,
fence.
mhm.
I feel like you're
That's great.
straddling it at least.
Yeah, I know. It's such a journey. Learning another language is such a journey. I'm like I mentioned, I communicate exclusively in French with my husband,
Mhm.
and thinking about how we're going to raise our baby, because we're in the United States right now,
Right.
French is going to be our home language, and which I'm happy about that because I can't even now, like when my husband and I are with other Americans, we're not like whispering in the corner in French. Of course, we're going to be speaking in
Right.
English with the rest of the group, but when it's just the two of us, it's only in French. So it was going to feel very weird and almost uncomfortable for me to be like switching from speaking in French or just speaking in English with the baby
Right.
and French with my husband.
Yeah.
Um, and even now that I'm at that point of proficiency and fluency, I still
Mhm.
have so far to go, I
Yeah.
feel. Like
Yeah.
it's honestly a lifelong
It is. Yeah.
journey of learning a different language, but one that I feel very blessed to be on. Like, I
Mm.
never thought I would ever speak another
Yeah.
language ever.
Same. Same.
It's, like, crazy.
Yeah. Gosh.
Well, I think if I haven't already, I will put a link to your website in the
Sweet.
description.
Yeah, I was gonna say the best way to keep in touch with me, is through my website. There's like a little connect button.
Okay.
And if people go there, then you can subscribe to my little letters, which is my email list.
Okay.
And that's where I'll be releasing the Patreon um, when that is ready to be shared, and where I share the news of what else is going on on the other
Very
side
cool.
of the ocean.
Okay, good to know. I need to subscribe to your little letters
Mm,
as well. So yeah, I'll put a link to your website. I'll put a link to your YouTube channel.
mm,
I believe on your website there's all of your other social links where people can connect
yes,
to you on Instagram and everything like that.
yes.
But thank you so much, Jackie, for
No, thank
joining
you.
me today. This was such a great conversation. I feel like it was really helpful for anyone who is interested in TAPIF and interested in knowing what it's actually like, what it takes to even apply. So thank you for sharing all of that very helpful information.
Okay.
I feel like I got to know you a lot better on this call.
Ditto.
We do have a question before we hop
Yeah.
off that says, "Yo,
Any tips
any
for
tips for learning
learning
French?"
French?
I'll share a tip, and then maybe if you want to share a quick tip,
Yes.
Jackie. So my tip, number one tip, is to speak French with a French person.
Mm,
These apps like Duolingo and Rosetta Stone and
yeah,
all
it's
these
not gonna
things,
get you there.
it's a good foundation, I think, so you actually know the words,
Mm,
but there's nothing compares to actually conversing with a French person and, like, again, Duolingo is so fun, and you play these games, and it's, like, mentally stimulating, I think, if you're looking for, like, a game to play on your phone, but if you're not actually speaking out loud and practicing with someone who speaks French natively,
mhm,
you're gonna hit a ceiling quite quickly, I think, and then when you're put into a situation where you have to speak French with a native speaker, you're gonna kind of stumble over your words, and it's not gonna be as natural. So that's my top tip. Steve and I are huge fans of the website Meetup. There are so many groups on Meetup for people who are learning French. A lot of these groups include English speakers, but also French speakers who are willing to help or maybe want to do an exchange, want to learn English while they
mm,
help you learn French. So you can do this even without having to move to France. Like,
mm,
thanks to the internet, there's so many
mm,
options for connecting with actual French people and learning that way. So that's my top tip.
mm. For me, I'd say listening and waiting for an opportunity, or in addition to looking for opportunities to speak with French people, listening to the language as much as possible,
Mhm,
is always gonna help you, because the more
mhm.
that you understand, the more that you're going to learn and get from those interactions. And that feels really uncomfortable at first because 'cause you're
Mhm.
like, "I got nothing." But but over time, it's just like we're still babies. Like, I feel like that's been a huge part of my learning experience, is realizing I'm just a baby.
Yes.
And the more that, um, you expose your ear to the language, the more that you're gonna be able to communicate and sound natural in doing that, because your ear will
Absolutely.
become adjusted. So a couple tools that I found really helpful in strengthening my ear was an app called Pimsleur,
Okay. I've never
which
heard of that.
was
Okay.
you have heard of it?
No, I've never heard of that.
Okay, so it's a language learning app um, that started off as kind of like a method that was developed by a professor who I'm sure his last name was Pimsleur. But their app includes like tons of languages and it's pretty pricey for an application. And honestly, I think I did it for 1 month and a half, like during this like intensive time
Mhm.
um, where I was like, I need to get to B1 in
Yes.
in a month. But it was the main like nugget of that I find really helpful in the way that they format their services is that they give you a 30-minute audio lesson every day.
Okay.
And in that audio lesson, you're only listening to the language. There's no. I think the first time they say like repeat after me, and then they
Mhm.
say répétez après moi,
Okay. Yeah.
and then you're like, okay, I know what that means now, and
Yeah.
then that's it. The rest of it is in French, and so it is what like unlocked my tongue to being comfortable speaking the language
Okay.
because it gives you it like creates pauses within the 30-minute segment. So it's like the first half, you're just listening to an
Mm.
exchange
Okay.
between between people, usually in like a business setting of some sort, or travel setting. And then the second half, you're like um, cued on to what to say. So you're like filling in the other half of the conversation.
Okay.
And then like eventually it gets to the point where you're just supposed to say it. Like you're put in the situation in an audio like imagination where you're responding to this person in the language.
Okay.
So so you like go from just listening to like repeating to speaking. Um, and that is like really what allowed me to be comfortable speaking the language.
I
Um,
love that. I mean, I just got, like, flashbacks of the intensive French course that I did, and we did that sort of stuff in the classroom,
yeah,
exactly that.
yeah. So it was super helpful. Pimsleur.
Okay, so
Um,
last question from the same person. Have you done all the 30
30
lessons on
lessons.
Pimsleur?
I did 30 days.
Okay,
But I know that it like went on for what seemed like forever.
okay.
But it's cool that you're familiar with it. Um,
And
and
hey, I
then
mean, it helps you get to be one in
at least it made me comfortable enough to make a fool of myself in the, like, audio, and then, like, what is that? Where you're the ones the spoken portion of the DELF exam.
which that's
Um
another kind of tip to piggyback off of that is to, like, be okay with making a fool of
Yeah.
yourself and,
Yeah, you've
like,
got to.
to be like, that was kind of the bit one of the bigger unlocks for me because as I mentioned, I'm a little bit more on the reserve side, and it was, like, the idea of even putting myself out there for people to potentially make fun of me was terrifying to
Mm,
me, and as soon as I got over that hump, it's like the was one of the biggest unlocks that
yeah.
I had in my French speaking journey,
Mhm,
is just being okay with making mistakes,
mhm.
being okay with having a horrendous accent,
Yes.
being okay with people correcting you as well,
Yeah.
all of those things are super important, when it comes to learning French, but we have been chatting for almost an hour and
I
15
know.
minutes, so
You were like, "I'm not sure if we're gonna do a full hour."
I know,
I feel
I
like we could do
know.
another.
I know,
But no, it's
honestly.
good. It's
Thank
almost
you
Christmas.
so I
I have
know.
presents to wrap.
I have so much enjoyed talking to you again. I feel like we could
Same,
keep
Molly.
going for more time. So great getting to know you a little bit better, and thank you so much for sharing more about your TAPIF journey, more about your journey with France, all of these crazy moments along the
Along the
way
way.
that enabled you to live there.
Hmm.
Um, so I'm gonna close off our conversation here, but thank you everyone for watching live. If you're watching a replay, please feel free to keep the conversation going in the comments. I try to be really good about responding to people, and if anything specific comes in for Jackie, I will let you know so that you can then also respond to comments from people as well.
Sweet.
So if you're not already, please subscribe, comment, like, share it with anyone who you think would benefit from this conversation. And I hope everyone has a wonderful holiday. Happy New Year. And we will talk very soon. À bientôt.
À bientôt.